Okay. Get your together.
Get your together.
Ooh.
Okay, I like that one.
Yes. Comb your hair.
Comb your hair, Kody.
You guys, I just have to tell you, I really have enjoyed seeing more of Jen and watching her help Meri come out of her shell and stick up for herself. And I like watching Jen be there as Meri is starting to date. I am all about it. Yes, it feels a little more scripted. It feels like some other reality shows where they're planning events and going on dating events that are orchestrated for the show. I understand some people don't like that, but I actually do. I've enjoyed Meri and Jen this season, but that is not who I want to talk about the most. I really want to talk about Kody and Robyn. But first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Brittany. This is Happily Ever Reality, where I talk about my favorite reality shows. And my favorite show to talk about is Sister Wives. So today we're talking about season 20, episode 5. In case you haven't figured it out already, the screen right now has a Christmas tree and a stocking up there because this is the Christmas episode for season 20. It's airing in October, but I thought we'd have a little bit of Christmas spirit. Let's go ahead and start by talking about Kody and Robyn because Kody was really just being himself in this episode. We find out that they are still unpacking. They're basically living out of boxes, and we get to see that. We actually get to see in this episode how much stuff they have in boxes and how much stuff they have in plastic totes. You guys, that garage and all of those red and black containers, plastic storage totes, I was absolutely blown away. They say it's because he had multiple things, right? Like he would have stuff at each wife's house. So he had duplicates of all of his stuff. But what I don't understand is why would you take the time to buy containers and pack it up and move it? Why didn't he get rid of it? When's he ever going to need 4 of something? He just needs 1. He has 1 wife, 1 house. He doesn't need 4 things. I mean, that's what they say on the show, is this is stuff that came from all of the other houses. I would have been like, we are donating that stuff. We're going to a homeless shelter. We're taking this to Goodwill. Some of the stuff might have been trash. I would have not bought storage containers and moved it. Those containers start to get pretty costly too, and they look like they have the nice ones. I always try to get the cheap holiday ones that they sell at like Menards and Lowe's. It looks like they have the good ones. They spent a lot of money to pack that stuff up. There's just no way I would have done that. He has filled that garage, and there is even a moment where Robyn says, is it in the other garage, when he's looking for something? He's filling up the other garage. Dude, that is the kind of stuff that makes you go on Hoarders. You know those episodes where people have more than 1 house? I filled up 1 house, then we had to move into another house, and we started filling that one up. Chill out, you guys. Get rid of some of that stuff. He does not need it all. I'm just floored that they decided to move it. Anyway, really what we're focusing on is Aurora. We find out that she is dating, and she's really been dating this guy for a little while, but he finally asked her to be his girlfriend, and she said yes, and she is all giddy about it. I have read the internet comments where people have insulted her, and they kind of make fun of her and say she's acting a little bit childish. Yes, I think it's very immature compared to most people her age, but I always stick up for these girls because they live with Kody and Robyn. So, you know what? I feel for them. Who knows how that has affected them? Who knows what that's been like? So from my perspective, they probably sheltered her and treated her like a baby, and this is sort of the outcome of that. It's not like she's a bad kid. It just appears that maybe there's some things related to maturity. But on the other side of this, you know what? There are kids out here growing up that are growing up in religious communities and are being sheltered from things, and dating is exciting, and being around a boy makes them giggle even as they're in their 20s. So I think that's just what's going on with Aurora. I am not going to pick on this girl because she got excited that her boyfriend was coming over. But that's what we see. He comes over to help decorate the Christmas tree. Robyn, and I don't know if you guys noticed this is just how I feel. You guys can let me know if you feel the same way. I feel like Robyn wants her to take it slow because I think Robyn regrets her choices. I think when Robyn looks back on her 20s, she wishes that she had had more time alone, before she married and had children. So I think she's really just like, slow down. You don't have to go and jump into anything. Robyn never directly says that to her, but there's always these little things she says that kind of hints at it. And I understand that. There's no reason to rush into anything. Even if she is dating for marriage, you can take that slow. No reason to rush. I did think it was a little bit awkward. And then Kody makes a comment. I'm going to put the clip in here so that you guys can hear it.
Aurora very specifically said, hey, you're my dad. I want you to protect me in these dating situations.
First of all, I feel like the music in the background is clown music because he's acting like a clown. It's like circusy kind of music. That's what I'm hearing. But do you think she specifically went to him and said that? Because I just feel like that is such a weird thing to say. He says she specifically said that. I'm like, maybe she came to him and said, you know what? I'd like you to meet this guy. I want to know what you think. But did she say that? Did she say what he said? Because I feel like it's weird. But Kody's not done yet. Listen to what he adds on.
I'm the guy that's supposed to look at him and say, you know, like, my daughter's in love with you, but have you got any sense?
Kody Brown does not need to worry about anyone else, whether they're intelligent or have common sense, manners, feelings. Kody need not worry about any of that because he just needs to worry about himself. Honestly, I thought this part of the show was rather comical. So eventually we see this young man come over to the house. His name is Brody. He's there to decorate the trees with Robyn, Kody, and those children. He seems nice enough. He does walk in with a cowboy hat on, and man, does Kody eat that up. You know, in the last episode, we heard Kody talk about how macho his dad was, how his dad was a real cowboy, and how women just swooned and fell all over because of how macho his dad was, and that's how he had 3 wives. So Kody is all about the manosphere, macho, alpha male kind of stuff. And so this young man walks in with a cowboy hat on. And you guys, he kept that cowboy hat on the whole time. He did not walk in the door and take it off. He kept it on the whole time they decorated the tree. And I can't help but think that he was told to do that. Now, I don't know if it was by someone at TLC, like one of the producers, or if it was Kody. I do not believe he would have kept that cowboy hat on the whole episode. I wonder if he's going to be a regular and like Kody has his hair, will Brody have his cowboy hat? That's something we should consider. We might actually have 2 new characters on the show. And yes, I said characters because I'm not so sure how much is reality and how much is going to be scripted going forward, because I think they're going to have to keep adding storylines. And when I think they get desperate to add storylines, that is when things become more and more scripted and planned out. That's my thinking. So Brody the real cowboy is there. He seems all right, but Kody is being absolutely ridiculous, you guys. He asked him over and over about how he is going to protect Aurora from himself. And I want you to take a few minutes just to think about it. You're a young man in your 20s going over to spend some time with your new girlfriend's family. Maybe you're already a little nervous. Maybe the dad's kind of a weirdo. So you're headed over there. And then you get there and there's a camera crew and the weirdo dad keeps asking you how you're going to protect his daughter from yourself. And you're thinking in a way like, how can I do this? Oh, I'll give her a knife. Which is already kind of an unusual answer. But the dad just keeps grilling you because you're not giving the answer that he's looking for, because he's talking about something else entirely different. You're just not on the same wavelength and you can't get there because of your nervousness, because there's cameras on you, because you're meeting people that you don't know that well. Yeah, I actually felt bad for him, but he seems all right. He seems like an all right kid. Good for Aurora. I hope they're happy. But Kody needs to quit being so odd. So this whole thing ends up leading to them talking about chastity and purity, and Kody, of course, has to comment on his relationship with Robyn. But before I put the clip in, there's one more thing I want to bring up. Do you guys notice that she's starting to seem annoyed with Kody? And everything they do, he talks about him and Robyn. He talks about their relationship, and she pointed it out in this episode. We're talking about them and you're bringing it back to us. I think she thinks he is acting like a fool just like the rest of us do. That's what I got from this episode. But anyway, here's the clip of him talking about Robyn and him and their courtship and how they didn't do anything naughty before they were married.
If you love my daughter, then you'll love her as much as I loved her mother, and I kept my hands off of her till we were married.
I have never been someone that really believed they fully, were together before they were married. But I do think there was physical contact, right? And I always feel like they're trying to act like there was nothing, but we know that wasn't the case. We got to see it on the show, right? There was kissing. There was hugging. He was driving there and spending the weekend. There was something, even if it wasn't like all, you know what I mean? Anyway, I feel like they're going out of their way to just point out like how perfect their relationship unfolded. And I think they feel like they need to do it now more than ever since Christine sort of made her accusation. I think it was like the 2 tell-alls ago, maybe it was the last one, where she implied that they weren't being honest about it, right? I feel like they're trying to defend themselves more than ever, but I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. You guys can let me know what you think down in the comments. This ends up leading to Kody talking about what it was like when he was courting his wives. And he mentions that how in their culture you knew quickly, right? You didn't date for a long time. He mentions that he would often know within days. But that isn't really the feeling I got from any of the stories, right? Like he mentions that he knew Meri for a while. He knew Janelle for a while. They were friends. With Christine, he wasn't even sure when they were courting. So he says he knew within days. If you guys can tell me which one he knew, the only one he says he knew quickly, there was that lightning bolt and they had a moment, was Robyn, but otherwise, which wife did he realize very quickly that he wanted to marry? So I'm going to move on from Kody and Robyn. I just wanted to start with them because I thought Kody was being ridiculous. That's the only word I can use to describe it. It's very over the top. Honestly, I expect nothing less. I did enjoy seeing Robyn act like she was a little bit annoyed with Kody. I think he does get on her nerves. I think when the camera is around, he lays it on so thick. I think he flirts with her so much, talks about their relationship so much, that he's so affectionate. I think she gets annoyed. And I bet he tones it down dramatically when there's no cameras around. But that's all I have to say about them. You guys can let me know what you think down in the comments. Let's move on to talking about Meri and Jen. One of the first things we find out with Meri is that Logan had reached out to her to get a recipe. He wanted to make the candy canes that Meri used to make when he was a kid. And I just thought that was really nice. I think a lot of times with Meri, what we hear is that there are kids that want to have no contact with her at all. They are done with her. So it just makes you realize that some of this is a personality thing, because some of these kids do still reach out to her and contact her. Even if it's not much, I think they're not no contact. You know what I mean? Like there are still people that'll talk to her. I mean, Janelle does, even though Christine doesn't. So I think a bit of it is a personality thing. Most of this, though, in this episode is Jen and Meri heading to NYC. Meri had to go there for work, and she decided to invite Jen along with her. What is actually interesting to me is hearing them talk about Meri traveling. We find out that Meri really hadn't traveled much, and Jen encouraged her to do it by herself when she was married to Kody. Like Jen said, go on a trip by yourself, and Meri said she was uncomfortable with that. And this leads us to Kody. So Kody does get brought up on this part of the show, and he explains the trip, and he explains Meri traveling, and I want you to hear what he says. I know you guys, your viewers of this show, you immediately knew that it was a bunch of BS, but here's Kody talking about it.
But there was many trips, or at least what I understood was many trips, where she just disappeared and we didn't know where she was.
Honestly, I could have responded to this myself. I immediately was like, of course you didn't know where she was. You never went to see her. You never called her. She could have came back and you didn't even know the trip happened, let alone not know where she was. You probably thought she was at home the whole time. And then they end up throwing in a clip of Meri where she basically says that in her own words.
I mean, of course Kody didn't know about it because he wasn't around me to know what I was doing in my life.
I really love the moments when Kody says something and he doesn't realize that the audience already knows enough to know that what he's saying doesn't benefit him. Like, he wants to say this sort of as an insult to Meri, like she ran off and we didn't know where she was. She disappeared. But then the audience knows, we know that he didn't call her. We know that he didn't go over there and see her. We know why Kody didn't know where Meri was. That's because he never knew where Meri was. We do get some more information about Coyote Pass. Meri says nothing has changed, no names have been added, and Kody still isn't communicating. We also get some information about Christine's property. When Christine had sold her house in exchange for the property, nothing was discussed with Meri. There was no family discussion about it. It immediately just became Kody and Robyn's property. So there was no interest in sharing that in a way that would be fair with Meri and Janelle. So this was not treated as like a family property and a family thing. It just went back to Kody and Robyn. I think Meri is realizing now how unfair that really is. And I think some of it is because she has Jen encouraging her. Jen is really encouraging her to be more assertive about this whole situation. And we watch her try to help Meri stick up for herself. I thought it was funny. It was not serious to me at all. Sometimes I read comments online. I can see people are taking things seriously that aren't. To me, this was something that was meant to be funny. They were out having coffee, discussing something, and trying to take a serious situation and have fun with it. I enjoyed watching it. I liked when she said Kody needed to cut his hair, or not cut it, comb it, but I think he could cut it. If you guys want to know what I think. I said cut. That was a Freudian slip because he should cut his hair. But we see them head out to New York City and Jen goes with her. They seem to have a great time. I'm just glad she has her as a support system. And that is something that is brought up. Meri says that no matter what anyone else says, Jen was her only real support. And Christine backs that up. There's a confessional with Christine where she says Jen was it for Meri. And it's good that Meri has her. So Christine is supporting that. What I was interested in was, who is Meri talking about when she says, no matter what anyone says? Like, no matter what other people are saying, it really was just Jen. I think it was Robyn. Robyn wants to act like she was such a good friend and such a good sister wife. Nah, because Christine and Janelle don't act like that. They never imply at all that they were really there for Meri when she was struggling at the end. Christine's very vocal about it. So is Janelle. If you go back and watch the show, they weren't close. There's no lying about it. The only person, in my opinion, that Meri could be talking about would be Robyn. You guys let me know if you agree with me on that. Is she talking about Robyn, or do you think there's somebody else? All right, and let's finish this up by talking about Janelle, Christine, and David, because he was a big part of this episode. Christine, David, and Truly head down to North Carolina. Actually, they don't head down. They head over to North Carolina, and they're getting together before the holidays to have like a big family celebration. David brings up dating with Janelle, and this leads to them all talking about how Kody was a lot of work. Like, being with Kody, he was high maintenance, and how that may be the reason Janelle doesn't want to date. Maybe she is done with trying to accommodate a man, and she just wants to live her life, which I think could be a part of it, but I also think Janelle is just super independent. She wants to do her own thing. But man, I imagine being with Kody would make you not want to be with people. But when it comes to dating and love, David is incredibly different. It sounds like he was on all of the apps.
David was on Farmers Only, but I was not. I never went on there.
Were?
His kids
Dude, I was
put him
on
on.
everything.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that clip in there. I thought it was kind of funny. There is a part of this, though, that's a bit more serious. They talk about having health insurance, and Janelle talks about how sometimes her kids would have to go without health insurance and things would happen. And she talks about a time that Maddie had appendicitis and how she had to make payments on that for a really long time. She brings up the fact that in Utah, they had very strict rules, and they had the rules because they were trying to make sure that people weren't abusing the system. You know, that is something a lot of people accuse them of doing during those early years, is they wouldn't list Kody as the father on anything, and then they would go and get assistance. It's just kind of wild because you watch this show and I really like them, but there's also a part of me that's like, this was some poor decision making. There should have been a point where you realized, I need to take my kids and get out of here because he cannot provide for them, and it might be easier if I do it on my own. And I do think in the end, in order to provide for their kids, they had to do it on their own, right? We know Christine was providing for her own household. So was Janelle. So was Meri. Kody wasn't doing any of that anymore. He wasn't doing those traditional things he thinks that he does, like provide and protect. That's impossible. That's impossible to do because he wasn't in the house with him to do those things. He didn't financially make enough to do those things. He couldn't provide health care, health insurance. They struggled to have enough food. It's just really hard to defend a lifestyle like that and having that many children spread out in that many homes to me. But, you know, Meri and Janelle still say polygamy can work. Anyway, back to some of the less serious stuff. This is the Christmas episode, and we get to see Janelle, Christine, David, all of those kids that are there in North Carolina, including Truly and Savannah. We get to see them there decorating a Christmas tree, and then they talk about how important traditions are to the family. So they try to start some new ones, and that includes caroling. And then we get to watch all of the Browns sing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." I really enjoyed it. I liked this episode. I have seen comments online where people are like, oh, it's getting boring. There's nothing going on. I'm skipping parts. There is a part of me that's glad we're moving a little bit away from so much divorce talk and seeing their lives unfold separately. You know, back in the day when we would watch the show, there would be conflict, but it was like, oh, we're watching a family do this family stuff. There would be issues, but I think now, I don't know, I like it. I enjoyed this, but I've always been a big fan of the Christmas episodes, so maybe it's that. You guys can let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm sure I skipped over some goofy stuff that Kody said. Let me know what you thought about all of this, and if you haven't already, I hope you'll click like and subscribe and come back to Happily Ever Reality.
An official act.
Did he say, do you want to go steady or do you want to be my girlfriend?
He said, Aurora, will you be my girlfriend? Oh, wow.